Hey y'all, this is Cheryl, and thanks for joining me for another digital scrapbooking process video. Today I'm going to be scrapping a photo from quite a few years ago, 2011, of my daughter at the beach. Now the photo that you just saw, I do some extra editing off camera, and so the finished layout has a different version of that photo. I'll be using that kit by ForeverJoy, the page kit called Mermaid Life. The reason why I ended up doing additional photo editing, I had already edited the photo in Lightroom and brought it into Photoshop Elements. And then this morning, before I was finishing up doing my journaling on the page, I had gotten a notice from Google that a photo plugin program called Pick Collection, P-I-K Collection, is free from Google now, and it's essentially a plugin, and it works with Photoshop Elements and Lightroom and Photoshop Creative Cloud, and I think Aperture, and there may be one other. But what was really cool about it was that I felt like I wanted to lighten up the photo, and rather than having to go back into Lightroom and make any additional adjustments, I just clicked on the layer. Then I went to filter and chose the Pick Collection plugin, which was down at the very bottom of the list. And then from there, I just kind of followed some steps, and it really made quite a bit of difference in lightening up the photo, and I was really pleased with it. So I like having additional options available to me. So if you are looking for something like that, if you don't have Lightroom and really want to be able to make some pretty serious levels changes and other changes to your photos, I'd hop over and download it. I think it's supposed to be a free plugin from now on, so all you have to do is go to Google and type that in. Anyway, so I've rambled on here, but essentially I started out with a photo, and I wanted it to be, the main star. And I went ahead and added some paint, and looks like some netting and coral and some string. And right now I'm trying to decide on what papers I want to use, and I like the orange that's showing up in the photo, and so and I like the little bit of green that's kind of hinting at the water in the background. So, but I wanted to tone down that orange, so I've added the white paper on top and just pulled down the size of it. Now I'm going to add some more ribbon, and this collection is, this little page kit is absolutely adorable. There are some great little mermaids in it, and I wanted to use it, but I don't know, the photo, I tried, and you'll see it coming up, I tried to add the mermaid element, and I just felt like it didn't fit well. But there are some other water pool layouts that I think that little mermaid will work well on, so I'm just going to hold it and use it on a later layout. So the photos actually from a trip that we took out to Fort Pickens, which is on the Gulf Islands National Seashore. When you go to Pensacola Beach, when you go all the way down the length of the beach, you're going to run into Gulf Islands National Seashore, and then once you go to the complete end of the island, that's where you'll find Fort Pickens, which is famous for having housed Geronimo, and of course pretty significant for naval engagement in the area. And there's still, a fort there that you can explore we had some friends that were camping out there, so we went out and I think we had dinner with them. I don't know, it was 2011, it was a long time ago. But then we went across to, they were camping on the sound side of the island, and we drove over to the Gulf side of the island, and it's just absolutely beautiful down there. And we just enjoyed being with one another's family. But while we were there too, I, of course, I think my DSLR camera was brand new to me at that point, maybe a few months old, and so I was still experimenting. And thank goodness Olivia at that time was like the perfect model. She would always pose for me and turn in different directions so I could try to, see how the lighting changed the photo. Anyway, we've always lived in this area, so I tend to take the fact that we're so close to this amazing area, kind of for granted. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I do have chronic back pain, so that kind of limits how often we go. To the beach. If I'm really hurting, then it's not something that we're gonna go do, or my husband may go do it without me. But it's walking on the sand that's the problem. The surface that is not very conducive to, it kind of shifts beneath you. So usually I pay for it later, but I do remember enjoying this day, and of course, I had to kind of recover from it the few days afterwards. But sometimes you just have to go out and do. And I'm glad we did, because we have, the good memories of hanging out with friends, and also got these amazing series of photographs of that day. And of course, 5 years ago, it was hard for me to imagine that she was going to be even more grown than she is in this photo, and that she would be gone from the house. So in this photo, she's like 14 years old. And I look at it and I'm like, geez, at the time I knew she looked older than her age, but now looking back on it, she definitely did. And so at 19, I don't feel like she's changed a significant bit. She still pretty much looks like this. But I don't know, there's a difference in her face that I can tell. Just a maturing. So I treasured these photos back then, but I really treasure them now. Because it really is true, you capture those moments that would otherwise be fleeting memories. So, as you can see, I've added some gold stamping, bubble wrap stamping in the background. I've added a seahorse, some seashell, I think, and I'm adding some cork pieces here. And so I keep moving this poor little sand dollar around. It keeps getting covered up. I put it in some place and then I'll cover it up with something else. And now I'm just adding some of these jeweled buttons. They're so pretty. And they made me think of how, the light hits the water and it makes those little diamond flashes, so I liked adding those and having that be part of the layout as well. And I like the bits of orange that I have, you know, the starfish and then the netting and then the coral and the title. So I do add this piece of word art, and that's on vellum. I'm trying to decide where to put it, but it does end up staying in the bottom center. And I'm just doing some minor adjustments here, moving some things down. And once I move that, I end up adding another button to round out that cluster. And I think that's my last addition. Oh, yes, yes, okay, I remember now. I did add another matting, but it's pretty slight. But I felt like I wanted to kind of have both the green and the orange on the outside as well. So here in just a second, you're going to see the completed layout. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and you can see how much lighter the photo is here. Of course, if you like it, give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy scrapping!